Wow, what an amazing time of worship that was. Our God is mighty to save. Our God is mighty to save. Don't be threatened. This sickness, the thing that's prevailing outside, prevailing around you, cannot overthrow you. It does not have authority over you. But your God has. So depend on your God. Your God is mighty to save. He's the power. He's got the power. He's the ultimate authority. I would like to draw your attention to Gospel of Mark, chapter 5. Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verse 21 onwards. Verse 21 onwards, we'll read from 21 all the way through 43. Mark, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verse 21 all the way through the last verse of chapter 5, which is verse 43. Now let me just read the whole section for you, and then I'm going to explain the whole thing in parts, pretty slow, and we'll go over the whole thing. We'll get some learning out of it. I'm reading from verse 21. When Jesus had come again, crossed over by the boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed and pressed around him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, "If I just touch his clothes, I will be healed." Immediately the bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched me?" "You see people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you can ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, she told the whole truth to Jesus. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. Be freed from your suffering." While Jesus was speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Do not be afraid. Just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the house of synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all of this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead but asleep." But they laughed at him. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha Kaum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to tell anyone what had happened here, and told them to give her something to eat. May the Lord bless the reading of His scriptures. An amazing passage. If you noticed, while I was reading, there are two different scenarios in here, two different stories mentioned, where the first story has not finished yet, but the second story comes into play, and it gets finished first, and then the first story gets finished in the latter part. So it's a mix of two miracles that happened through Jesus. In the first one, there's this guy, this synagogue leader Jairus, where he comes to Jesus. He fell on his feet and he pleads to Jesus, saying, "My daughter is dying. She is not dead yet. My daughter is dying. Please come, touch her so that she may be healed and live." Get the words right. She may be healed and live. And Jesus just started walking with him. Now, nothing. Jesus has come from the other side of the lake, and as he reaches here, there is already a huge crowd on this side. Now they are all, they are all, they're trying to touch him. They're trying to talk to him, because wherever the crowd was, there were people who were sick. There were people who wanted to talk to Jesus. There were people who wanted to see the miracles that performed by Jesus. So there was a huge, there was a huge crowd already waiting for Jesus. And when he had come, they wanted to just touch him. Even in the midst of all of this, Jesus listened to this guy, and he just started walking towards his house, Jairus' house. On his way, while he's just going, there is this lady who has been socially cut out. She is living a life of stigma, a traumatic life, because she is sick in her body. It says that she had bleeding issues, and because she had that sickness, people would call her unholy. People wouldn't let her come into church. People wouldn't let her come into public places like this. People, wouldn't like to speak to her, wouldn't like to talk to her. She was already, the scriptures say that she had gone to several doctors, and when she went to the doctor, she did not get healed. Rather, her health became even worse. She spent everything. She is living a life of stigma through in her physical body itself, where she is not well. Then in her public life, she is totally cut out. The sickness is no more physical. The sickness is now even the stress level is too much that it has gone into her mental state, actually, mental state as well. Now, when Jesus is going, there's a huge crowd, and then this lady, because she believed that if I touch Jesus' clothes also, I will get healed. She has that faith that even if I touch his clothes, I will be healed. And that's what she does. She just does not care about anything. Who is there? Which doctor is there? Which person is there? These people, they don't want to talk to me. They don't count me holy. They don't count me well. She just did not care about anything. Rather, she goes from in the midst of the crowd behind Jesus and just touches his clothes. As soon as she does that, she gets healed. And in the scripture says, she knows, she felt it, and she knew that in her body she was healed. Wow, that's a good thing. But the point to notice in here is that Jesus did not perform this miracle, right? Jesus was on his way to Jairus' place. He did not intend to heal this lady because he had not seen her first. When she touched Jesus, she was healed, and Jesus then knew that power just went through him, and that's why he turned around to look, who touched me, who did this. His disciples, they were laughing. They were like, You see, everyone is trying to jump over you. Everyone is trying to touch you. How can you ask that who touched me? Everyone is here who is pressing against you. But Jesus, he knew that someone did touch him, and that's why he wanted to search and look for it. And then it says the lady came to him because she is now 100% sure that she has been healed. So she comes to Jesus, and then she tells everything to Christ. She is like, now I want to tell everything, Lord. So Jesus is now actually his first interaction with the lady is happening now after her healing. The miracle is performed. The point that I'm trying to create in here is that Jesus did not intend to heal the lady, yet the healing was done. And do you know why? Why the healing was done? Jesus answered that question. He said, lady, your faith has healed you. Just because you had faith in you, just because you knew that even if I touch his garments, I would be healed. And that's what happened. So it's your faith that along with your actions proved itself. Remember the verse? I've told you, faith without actions is dead, is orphan, is homeless. You need to show, you need to prove your faith by your works. That's what we read in the scriptures. And that's what this lady did. She worked her faith out, and then her faith was proven 100% right in her healing. But look carefully what Jesus says. Jesus says, let me just read it out to you. What Jesus said. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. In other scriptures, if you read the Hindi Bible, it says, is bimari se bachi rahe. Stay safe, keep safe. You are healed. You have received the healing. But now the onus is on you to guard that healing, to keep it safe and sane. See? So Jesus provides healing, but now since you have been healed, you are again 100% human, just like everyone else. So you are again susceptible to getting to get sick again. So what you have to do is, once you have received the healing, now it's your onus, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to guard that healing, to take care of it. Hold that thought, and we'll come back to that thing again. Let's read further. What happens next? Jesus starts moving towards Jairus' house, and then when he reaches there, he sees people crying and wailing. There's a lot of commotion. They have gathered. They are just crying and weeping because the girl, the child, she is no more. She is dead. So one of them comes to Jairus, synagogue leader, and then he says, "Your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher now?" And then Jesus, as he listens to those words, he turns to Jairus and says, "Do not be afraid. Just believe. Just believe. Have faith." He walks into the house, brings everyone outside, except a few of them, his mother, his parents, her parents, the child's parents, and few of his disciples, and then he just heals the girl, brings her back to life. He performs a miracle there. But notice what Jesus says right after when she is up again. In verse 43 it says, he gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this, what had happened, the miracle that was performed inside, and told them to give her something to eat. You see that? So he performs a miracle and instructs them not to tell this to anyone outside what happened inside, what happened just now. And then he instructs them, give her something to eat. It says in the previous verse, immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At 12 years old, as soon as she woke up, she's back to life, and then she starts running around the house. But Jesus, he says, give her something to eat. What I'm trying to say is that Jesus has performed the miracle. He has given the healing. But now, again, the onus, the responsibility is ours, is her parents, to give her something to eat so that she may stay away from her sickness. She may stay away from feeling ill once again. What I have learned from this passage of scripture, Mark chapter 5 verse 21 to 43, is that Jesus, yes, he gives us the healing. That's true. We ask him when we are sick, when we are physically ill. We ask him, and then he gives us healing. But once he gives us healing, it does not mean that now, because we have been healed, so now we will no more feel ill. No, it's not like that. It does not mean like that. It does not mean that way. Once he gives us healing, once we are healed, now the onus is ours to guard that healing, to take care of that healing. And that's what I've been thinking with the whole situation which is happening right now. This virus which has evolved and flourishing throughout the nation, throughout the world. I know it's a communicable disease. It spreads easily, but then the onus is ours to take care of ourselves, our family. Maybe you have come out of sickness, any sickness, I don't know, but now the onus is ours to take care of it. I would like to tell you this once again, that this virus is if you are affected by the virus, this virus is going to take you to grave. That's it. That's the biggest deal about this thing. It's gonna take you to grave. You'll be dead. But then what about the virus that will take you to hell? Because you have socially, you have spiritually, you have mentally, you have financially abandoned yourself. You have come to a social distancing with Jesus in your life. And because you have come, you have opted for this kind of social distancing from Jesus in your life, you're not just going to go to grave, but you're going to go to hell. But the good news is that he still loves you and he still cares for you. And that's why we are here. And that's why we celebrate in Jesus, that he has loved us so much, that he cared for us so much, that he sent forth his son Jesus. And we need to just believe in him. We need to just believe in him and tell him, Father, I really want to believe in you. I really want to give my life to you once again. Let's start over with Jesus. Start over with Jesus. You have been healed by something. You have been healed of something. When Christ has healed you, Jesus has healed you, take care of your bodies now. Take care of your physical, your mental state. Take care of your financial states. Healing comes in financial areas also. Healing comes in your family life. Healing comes in your personal life. Healing comes in all of the spheres that you have been living in. Healing comes in all the spheres of your life. So please guard your healing. That's very important, that we take care of ourselves very well. Believe in Jesus. Stay faithful to him. We love you so much. I love you so much. I've been praying for you. May the Lord bless you. Please go back, read the scriptures, and spend some time with the Lord. And I will be here praying for you. God bless you.